What is the secret to happiness? My guest today went searching for that answer to the United Nations happiest country in the world. No, not Disneyland, Finland. She not only found the answer to that, but also went through her own personal soul touching moments and transformations in the process. Welcome to Travel That Touches Your Soul, podcast and video channel, where I bring you the people and places around the world to help you connect with something greater than yourself and fulfill your heart's desires. Hi, I'm Karen Cleveland, and today's guest is Doni Belau. Now, Doni founded the women-only tour company Girls Guide to the World in 2009 with a mission to empower women of all ages to explore the world, which is right on target for me. She has led thousands of women across over 80 countries on journeys that blend cultural immersion, personal growth, and sisterhood. Her story is one of transformation, including how travel shaped her purpose. And so now she creates journeys that touch women's souls in return. Welcome to the show, Doni. It's so great to have you here.
Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm thrilled.
Yeah, yes, me too. I'm super excited to hear about Finland, but also about some of the journeys. I'm going to share some of the pictures from your journeys, and the first ones up are from Finland. I don't know what year this is, but you will let us know. So if you can see that picture, a whole bunch of women in front of, it looks like a ice hotel.
Exactly. And actually, I just got back from that trip. So that
Okay.
is this year. And this was the first year we did what we call chasing the Northern Lights. So started in Finland, obviously to the ice. It's actually called the Arctic Snow Hotel
Oh,
up in Rovaniemi. And absolutely magical. I'm really happy I did some research on this because obviously I'm always researching. It's really part of the fun of the job. But it people say, and it was my dream to sleep in one of these hotels, since I probably all of us have this on our bucket list,
yeah.
but it is just too cold. So we did not sleep there,
Okay.
which every single person on the trip was thrilled that we didn't sleep there. But it's so much fun because you walk around all the rooms, and each room is decorated, with snow and ice sculptures, snow and ice in the inside each room. Yeah, that's me. The Arctic Snow Hotel, it's really a winter wonderland in there, and of course, they do it from scratch every year, and they start in November and it ends in March. So, every year, and each room has a different theme. And then there's an ice bar, an ice restaurant, even a chapel. It's such a cool thing to see.
And so you didn't sleep there because I have wondered about that too. For the people that sleep there, how do they stay warm all night? Do you know?
They don't. I mean, it is cold. There's big fur blankets and stuff, but just being in there, they give you the outfit that we work with. They give you these snowsuits. So you'll see it. That's why we're all in the pink. But even in the snowsuits, we thought like if we had to lay down and you know how you get colder at night because you're not
Yeah.
moving around and thought,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, because it was really cold. When we were there, it got down to -13 Fahrenheit. So
Oh my gosh.
people don't really sleep, I think you could maybe get some sort of liquor-induced sleep, which is the perfect
I think
perfect
that's what you have to
segue.
do. Yes.
Yes.
You know what, we're gonna
Yeah,
talk
maybe just
about,
knock yourself out, right?
and we'll talk a little bit about this later, but this is an ice class, is that right?
Yeah, so that was probably the most fun after seeing all the rooms, and you can't go into your room if you do stay there until 9 o'clock at night because they're open during the day to
Oh,
visitors. So you have dinner and then you go in there, and I'm sure that they make the beds better than they were made when we were there. And then, of course, for any visitor, we can go to the ice bar. So, as you can see behind there, all made of ice. The cups are made of ice, and they have various shots. This was like lingonberry flavored vodka. And then you drink that. You have to use the napkin, otherwise it flips right out of your hand,
oh,
which
yes.
happened to a couple people. But that was super fun,
That's
and there's music going on, and at the end, you're meant to smash it against the wall. So, we all had so much fun doing that.
awesome. Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun. So you were on this journey with these women, and tell me why you went in the first place. You said it was chasing the Northern Lights. right?
Yeah, so we actually have 2 trips to Finland, and I feel really blessed, and this is us a few of us in Helsinki. A few
Okay.
I feel really blessed that I've gotten to go in the summer and in the winter. So the summer trip, which I think we have some pictures later, that was really built as not only a sightseeing trip and a regular trip to see a country, but also sort of fact-finding mission as to why they win happiest country in the world year after year after year for 8 years. So, like, what is it about Finland? It's not Sweden, it's not Norway. I mean,
Right.
we know that the Scandinavian Nordic countries are, really have got it all together in a lot of ways, but
Yes.
why? So that's really the cornerstone or the starting point of our summer trip to Finland, which we've got coming up in a few months here. And then the winter trip is really about winter wonderland and chasing the northern lights, making sure we saw them 3 times, which was great. And just having all those fantastic winter adventures that you can have in the Arctic. So, you know,
Okay.
all the feeding reindeer, going on a reindeer ride, doing the mushing with the huskies, the ice hotel, all those kind of things. It's really, really magical.
Yeah, I think we have some of those on here.
Those are the reindeer.
You're laying down here.
Sort of like a lounge, all made of wood. So the reindeers go quite slow. This is like your pony ride with your 2-year-old kind of thing. But it's just fun to meet the reindeers, to, feed them, to sort of see it. They're actually smaller than you think. We learned that only the girls have the rats. So only
Oh,
have the
that's
have the horns,
interesting.
isn't it? So that means that on Santa's sleigh,
Yeah.
those were all girls. Rudolph is Rodolpha. So they're
They're
all girls.
all females. Wow, that's interesting. Well, of course they are because they're taking him around the world. They have to have their
You bet. You
sense of
gotta have women
direction.
take care of these things, right?
That's right. Oh,
Now
there's a
here's
beautiful
the
dog.
dogs for the mushing, and,
Yeah.
I think a lot of us think, "Oh, we feel terrible when if we take a horse-drawn sleigh because we worry about the horses." Well, these dogs are bred for this, and, this is the way everybody got around back in the day, and
Right.
they were so excited. They get them all lined up, and there's 6, so 3 on each side that pull you, and then we have 1 driver and 1 person sitting down, but they are so excited to get going. This is what they lived for. So
Right.
it was actually really quite really, really fun, and it's equal parts adrenaline rush, a little scary, but also super fun. So one of those out of your comfort zone kind of moments.
And you're warm through it? It's not too windy? Oh, I thought I had another dog. Funny. I guess not.
Yeah, we all had bought goggles, and you need to really cover your face, but then the goggles would as goggles always do, right? Even when you're in the, snorkeling,
Yeah.
they always
Yeah.
seem to steam up, right?
Yeah.
So I remember being able to see like out of the little bottom goggles. Some people took them off, but yeah, you're warm because you are, especially if you're driving, you are working because you're leaning each way when you're going around the corners. So recommend this to anyone. You have to have a little guts to do the driving. The other people sat, and sort of just got to enjoy the experience. But it is fun
Did
and
you
it's fast. You feel
did you
fat. You're going fast.
did you drive?
I did.
Oh my
You
gosh.
bet.
How
Yep.
many times
Yep.
have you done this?
One and only. One and only. Now I did it in a different way in Alsace in France. But yes, 6 of us, we had a group of 11 women plus me, so 12, and 6 of us drove. So I had to convince a couple of people. They're like on the fence. But it was really, really fun.
Wow.
And this is the sort of a Romanesque type sculpture. This is some of the ladies in there. And that's 2026 from the Ice Hotel. So they do each year, the year so that you can when you take a snapshot, you can remember.
Wow. It's amazing they have to rebuild it every year too.
Isn't it? The
Yeah.
other fun thing we got to do, we did ice sculptures. So you can see a little bit there on the left of the screen
Here?
next to the girl. Yeah, you can see that's one of them. Now, they gave us blocks of ice. They gave us a little bit of instruction. And it basically showed us how really, really, really hard it was and what artisans, I mean, these are artists who craft this whole hotel and all the incredible designs inside of it. They are really craftsmen. And this was one of our guides. She helped the girl in teal there make a goblet. So
Uh,
that was like the one of the few that looked like anything recognizable. Mine was terrible. Absolutely terrible. And it's exhausting because you're like chipping away at the ice, you know. Did keep us
right.
warm though on a very, very cold afternoon.
Yeah. Well, I have problems building snowmen that look decent, so
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not surprised. Yeah, there you are in front of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, with the goblet. Yeah. Yeah, this was on Tromsø. So our tour goes from Finland into Norway, so you get to
Okay.
see both countries. And believe it or not, that boat that she's coming from behind, that you can see the boat there,
Yeah.
that um, I believe it's actually the boat on the right. It wasn't the one that's so snow covered, but we went on on a boat spa, a boat sauna. So in Finland, and of course it's transferred to Norway too. They're crazy into their spa, into their saunas. I mean, it's part of Finnish culture. And it's actually one of the reasons some of the ladies on our fact finding tour found that it's one of the reasons they feel like they're the happiest people in the world, or at least content. They don't ever say, I'm super happy all the time.
Right.
Nobody is, right?
Right.
But the so on that boat, so it's retrofitted like a 1950s boat. There's hamam, so a steam sauna, a cold plunge, a a proper wood-fired sauna, a
Wow.
lounge area, a hot tub. So really cool to be in this. They had just it dumped like 12 inches of snow overnight, and here we were, you know, at this spa on a boat. It was incredible.
It sounds like a lot of fun because you're staying warm,
Yeah,
in all these different ways, and it's so beautiful outside. And
and there's the Northern Lights. Yeah,
there's the lights.
I
Uh,
know.
w
That's really the main reason why everybody makes a trek up to, any place in the
Yeah,
Arctic at this time of year.
yeah.
This was actually taken by one of my clients. She stepped out of her lodge, and it was this beautiful place called the Invisible Lodge that we go to in the Rovaniemi, and she caught which I think it looks fake. It's just not even real looking, right?
It's fantastic. Yeah, so once in a while, I have a showing here in Seattle, and I'm always if my app says to look, then I go look for sure.
You bet. You
But
bet.
oh, I thought I had another one. It must be after this. Yeah, this one.
Yeah.
So you're
So
out
we
on a
did
boat, is that
Yeah, we
right?
took a Northern Lights cruise. So you're on this boat. That's just the very top of it. So there's a big dining room below, and you have dinner. And it was a cloudy evening when we went out. So I didn't. And plus, we'd already seen the Northern Lights. So I thought, oh, well, I'm not even going to worry about it or think about it. And the captain was like determined, and he got out there and he found them, and we just had an incredible show. The important thing I think for people to know is that they don't look exactly like
Right.
this, except for when you put your camera up. So
Yeah.
sometimes you can see them with the naked eye, but it's something about the camera and just the iPhone or whatever any kind of phone you have. It just makes them come alive. It is truly magical. I'm so excited that I get to see them finally.
Yeah, it's an amazing bonus, second time. So tell me what's going on here. It looks
What
like
is that, right? So this is a flashback to our summer trip last
Mm,
year.
mm.
And we do have a few spots, not that I'm advertising for next year,
Well,
excuse
you
me, for
can
this summer. Yeah. Because it really is such a special trip. What I found a lady in one of these sort of deep dive in the internet, which, we all get into. But I found a museum actually, and they were doing basically these in-depth tours about women in Finland. So these were just day tours, and I called them up. We had a meeting. Said, do you think we could extend this and make this a week-long thing and kind of go all over Finland and meet women all across different fields all around the country to find out why you guys get voted happiest country in the world? I am getting to this picture. So this wonderful lady, Tuya, who ended up helping me put this together, basically called in friends and acquaintances. She's been in the travel business for a long time. And this was one of we call the trip our Nordic Queens. So we met 9 Nordic queens, so women who are doing, important things and and who could possibly answer the question, why do you think you're the happiest or most content? So this was one lady, older lady. You could just see her apron behind. But we went to her country farm that she inherited from her grandmother. So it'd been always a matriarchal ownership and existence there. And they basically are teaching mostly kids, like school kids come in, but you can also stay there, the old ways. So the ways of our ancestors and what it's like, or their ancestors, I should say, what it's like to live close to the land. There's a lake there. Of course, they have a sauna. They have three different saunas. That's just de rigueur in Finland. But they also make this traditional bread. This is rye bread. And interestingly, back in the day, probably 1800s up to the early 1900s, this was the bread that everybody in the country made. You used that horn, probably from a reindeer or moose or something, and that's what you stamped out the middle. So it looks a little bit like a big rye donut, right? So
Okay.
you bake those. They don't get very high. They are made in such a way so that they take almost like a broom handle, put it up close to the ceiling, and then they'd string these up and only bake like 4 times a year. So you'd bake like 30 at once or whatever, probably
Wow.
100. And then you'd take one down and heat it up for that evening and the next day. So it's this rye bread that seems to last forever. And, it's a Finnish tradition. So it's always fun, even if you're not on this sort of research as to why they're the happiest people in the world, but it's
Yeah.
always fun to do something, that's
Oops,
historic like
oops,
that.
oops, oops. I just accidentally
Don't
clicked a whole bunch of
worry.
fast forwards.
Don't
So
worry.
yeah,
I
let's
always do
let's
that.
talk about it. So this is still in the snow. I want
Yeah.
to hear about the happiest. Actually, let's look at that one picture right here. So
Yes.
so
Yes.
these are the Nordic Queens, or these are the people on the trip with you?
These are the people on the trip. I just like that
Okay.
picture. And
Yeah.
it was a great group of ladies.
Yeah.
That's kind of the magic of these trips and part of the soul fulfilling part of it, even if you're not on this particular trip where we're researching happiness, if you will, but the connection that you find, most everybody comes alone. They come solo
Yeah.
because there's something like 53% of us in the United States who are single, whether widowed, never married, divorced, whatever. And then a lot of women who've had partners for a long time, find it actually really wonderful and helpful for their relationship to get away and do something on their own, remember who they are sort of on their own. But,
Absolutely.
when you come and our motto is meet as strangers, depart as friends. And it happens on every single trip.
Yeah.
So that is another really big piece of what I believe is empowering and soul fulfilling is to meet people and become fast friends. And women are so good at that. We
Yeah.
we do lay a good foundation for it. We teach our trip leaders how to create a safe space so that people can connect. But when you're traveling, this probably more than anyone. But you're connecting with a country, with a culture, connecting with each other, these people you just met, and connecting back with yourself.
Right. Absolutely. So, do you screen people, or you just kind of know that the person that's interested in the trip is going to be a good fit for it?
Good question. We used to talk to every single person before they came on the trip. That's when we were smaller. This year, we're doing 85 trips to 50 countries. So
Wow.
it's become quite difficult. However, I would say 90% of the people, and I understand this because these are not cheap trips. They're an investment in yourself, I believe. But they almost everybody talks to one of our sales ladies. There's 2 of them, and they're really fantastic and understand the brand and what we're trying to do. But then before each trip, I send out a personal acknowledgement form, kind of laying out, well, we really would like for you to sit next to someone different each night and ask them questions, learn about their story. So we kind of set up, what we expect, not just, what we're planning on doing for you, but what we expect from you to kind of co-create this connection experience. So we try,
Okay.
as hard as we can to set it up for success.
Okay.
This picture here that you have is one of the ladies that helped us set up the trip, her name is Pottery, and we went to her house and she made us like a homemade beautiful cake. And we sat and she was one of our queens. And she's someone who's been affiliated with the Sarlakias Museum, which was the
Mm,
originators, and she was one of the originators of this idea to sort of celebrate the Finnish women. And I actually ended
okay.
up writing a whole article about what we found in terms of why they're happier.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I can tell you a few pieces of it.
Yeah, please.
But we met with two women who were fashion designers. They're also one of them is a filmmaker. They're just amazing ladies, and they were personal friends of Tuya, who put helped me put this trip together. We met with three, and you'll see a picture coming up of three ladies who run the applied. There they are. Those are the two designers.
Okay.
Really impressive. We met with three ladies who run the applied sciences department at the Tampere University, and that was really illuminating because they did a PowerPoint for us and went through, healthcare, government, what's it like when you have a baby in Finland, and everything kind of shocked us. I think we were like our jaws were dropping because there's almost complete equity. It's like 46 to 50% female representation in the government.
Okay.
They've had one prime minister and three female presidents. They have both at the
Oh,
same time.
wow.
Just so that was very inspiring to us. Also, the education system, you can go for free all the way up to PhD level. They
Wow.
have a sort of a more traditional university type structure, and then they have a more applied or technical sciences. If you want to be a nurse, if you want to be, so they're teaching you that you know that that job while you go to school. So but then you can cross over. So if you get your nursing degree, but you want to get, let's say you want to get a master's in health sciences and a PhD in something else, you're allowed to do that. And so it is completely free.
Yeah.
So can you imagine? I mean, that's
That
game changer.
It is a game changer. I think if kids knew the ones that don't think they can afford college, if
Right.
they knew they could go,
Right.
they could pursue, whatever it is they wanted. I definitely think we have some work to do on
Yes.
our education system.
Absolutely. And very few people that was the countryside compound really where that's the room where we learned how to make the bread. And then we
Oh,
had a
okay.
lovely, yeah, there she is.
Oh,
She's
that's
the
her.
matriarch,
Okay. Okay.
and just a no nonsense lady who was just a whole lot of fun and carrying on her grandmother's tradition. And she's bringing people into that countryside location, and especially kids that are living, in Helsinki and who haven't been able to spend as much time in the countryside and what it's like. And that was another thing that a lot of people mentioned that we interviewed and that we had, sat down and talked to was the closeness to nature. So
Mm,
two factors. They are so dedicated to their sauna, sort of it's such a cornerstone of their culture. And so with the sauna, and why would that, make a difference? Well, first of all, I think it's really helpful when you've got a lot of winter, really freezing cold times, 5 months of really, really cold.
yeah.
But they couple the sauna with, a cold plunge. So, whether that's in the lake, which we did while we were there, or this winter, they cut out, even in Helsinki, they cut out a hole in the ice and you go in there, which I did. And a good number of us did. And that is incredibly helpful for your central nervous system. Now, we're all into the heat and cold plunges here,
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
US. We've learned what they've known for, hundreds of years. It does something to you. And if you do this regularly, it changes your mood. It makes you feel more comfortable in your own body. It's super good for you. It speeds up your metabolism. So there's all these health factors. But the other thing that one of the ladies pointed out was that you go into the sauna nude with your family from the time you're a kid. It's not,
Oh,
so it's normal to be naked in front of people. Just there's not the body shaming there
right,
that we have,
right.
which is, a really an acute problem here. And then
Yeah.
the other thing about being close to nature is that many people, because they're really quite affordable, many people have summer cottages. And so
Oh,
they're just always communing with nature as much as possible. They get out in the winter and, they do all the activities in the winter. They get out all summer because I think that we know from science that that leads you to depression if you're inside,
yeah,
you're not getting that light,
yeah,
which is incredibly important for circadian rhythms. So there's a lot of actual hard science that you could, if I were more of a scientist or I knew, a little bit more, I could probably make a more interesting case for it. But it was, and also they feel there's a woman entrepreneur we spoke with who's done two really successful businesses that are centered around women and women's healthcare and so forth. And she felt that women, they're concerned about men now because women are so empowered in Finland and overrepresented in business and
wow.
in the economy. So they're worried about the men now. Can you imagine that?
Yeah, no.
So it's a fascinating culture with a lot of things we can learn.
So I'm hearing a couple things. If you know you have a future, I mean, that's gotta affect your mindset overall. If you could go to school and there's something for you, and you can make your money, have a trade of some kind, that's fantastic. The cold
Right?
plunges, it sound like I never really knew what they did for people, so I'll certainly look into it now, but if it's
Yeah.
helping your central nervous system, and then, yeah, the women just seem so empowered and in nature, and I believe that nature completely grounds us and keeps us centered and keeps us whole. I hear a lot of factors contributing to.
There are. The other thing that I forgot to say, by the way, this picture is we had a make your own. First of all, we did a sauna, and this is on the winter trip. We did a sauna and a hot tub outside with all the snow. It was so beautiful. And then we could keep our robes on and have dinner in our robes, which is something you really only do in Japan. I loved. I've only done that in Japan. It's just so much fun.
Okay.
But it
Okay.
was they brought us hot rocks, and so we got to cook our own meat or chicken or whatever on those rocks,
Oh,
which, you've probably been to a restaurant like that, but it's fun. It was just a lot of fun. But one other thing they said at the Tampere University that I forgot to mention was that people trust and have faith in their government.
wow.
Mic drop, right? I mean, especially right, and we were all like, "Really?"
Wow.
Because I think no matter what side of the fence you are on in our terribly, unfortunately, divided country right now,
Yeah,
it's particularly people in the US, there's distrust of government,
yeah,
on
yeah.
both sides, I think, and it's become, a crisis, actually, and they don't feel like that. So that is a huge difference,
That
because if
is
you feel like your government is there to protect you, there's no homeless people there, they're taken care of. You just feel like and it's safer. I mean, it's by far much safer country. So all these factors, start to add up. Well, of course they'd be happier, you know?
right. So I'm guessing maybe there's no corruption in the government, that they don't distrust them?
I don't think there's any place with no corruption.
Okay,
I
well,
don't think that's possible. And
yeah,
like any place, they've had problems, and it's gotten much much better now. But they had a problem with alcoholism. I mean, it's not like
okay,
it's not there is no perfect place,
right,
but there's all kinds of factors that have led to a better situation that makes people feel more content and happier. And those are what we've talked about. This is a picture. We were at a museum in the Arctic on the winter trip, and we had this lady with the little red boots was our tour guide, and she led us around. And it was really a story about the Arctic in general. And what I usually do is I ask guides, can you focus on the women? We want to know about the women. Right behind is sort of a setup for a female photographer, in Finland who it was operating and super successful in the 1920s as a single woman. And she was someone, and think about it, it's just only 100 years ago that if you were from a middle class or fairly well to do family, the idea of going out and doing something, making a living was a shameful thing. The parents were upset. They wanted you just to get
Oh,
married. And so but she did have a wonderful father who encouraged her, and she became a really very well-known photographer, not only of portraits, but of the laborers there who were working in the mines. But she was the cutest tour guide. She was
nice.
literally jumping up and down, thrilled to tell us about this lady. So that's the other great thing when you're on a trip, connecting with local people
Yeah.
that are just so excited to share their history with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, we'll talk about that
There's
later.
the cheers. Yep.
Yeah.
And this is at the reindeer farm. So these are
Oh,
members of
okay.
the Sami culture, and I should pronounce it Sami. It's spelled Sami. So
Okay.
these were the indigenous people of Lapland, not only in Finland but also Norway, Sweden. So if you think Lapland really covers all three of those countries, it's not a separate country. It's just that region, like the northern region of each one of those countries. But the Sami or the Sami people are the ones who own all the reindeer. This group of indigenous people have been raising reindeer for, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. So these are
Interesting.
the original Finns.
Yeah. I'm going to
Yep.
stop sharing because I want to ask you a few questions and not be
Sure.
distracted about some of this. The people on your trips and you, I'm sure, come away changed. Is it a trip a person would want to do again to go to Finland? Or do you think that once you've learned what you've learned there, people go on to other places? And the ones that have come with you on the summer trip, do they take those tools of happiness or contentment from the Finlands and put it into their life, do you suppose?
Well, those are three very complicated questions.
Yeah, I know.
First, but they're great. They're great questions. It's fun to talk about complicated things, right? It depends on the kind of person you are. Some people find a place and they want to go back and back and back.
Yeah,
I have some places like that, and then I have other places that I'm happy that I got to go trek with the gorillas. I don't wanna do it again
yeah,
because it's not that it wouldn't be amazing again, it's that I have other places I wanna see, and I only have so much time, this life,
right,
it doesn't last forever. On the other hand, we have a house in France, and we love going to France, and we wanna go to France every year, several times a year. I feel that way about Italy. I could go to Italy all the time. I could go to Greece. I could go to a different island in Greece, if there was an unlimited amount of time. So I do think a lot of our travelers, they might have one of those countries or
yeah,
two of those countries that they
yeah,
wanna go back and back to, and then the rest of the time they're trying to check those items off on their bucket list. Because, if you've never been safari, oh my god, you've gotta go on safari. Like,
right,
that is one of the most
right.
exciting things you could ever do. And then have I taken what I've learned from the Finns, and I think there's, of course, stuff you can learn from every single place you go and from every single person you meet. I believe that not just the Finns, but all of these experiences that I've had over, now many, many years. I've been to 88 countries. Each one of those people and places has enriched me. Absolutely. So
Yeah,
I feel like, it's one of those perhaps cliche, but I think it was Mark Twain said, travel eliminates prejudice. And I,
right.
I do believe that.
Yeah,
I feel like
yeah,
we're all the same. And the more different a culture feels, it's so exciting to find that connection and seeing, especially when you're meeting with women and seeing how similar we just all want the same things. And I love that positive vision I have of the world because I've gotten to see so much of it. And most people are really kind. We live in a lot of fear now with the news and all that's going on. But I think that is soul enriching to the core when you meet people in any country. However, I do believe that the Finns, there's certain things I don't have any control over, like government. Of course,
true.
I can vote. educational system. There's only so much, but I have to say I've been doing the sauna and the cold plunge as much as I can, and that has been really rewarding and really I love it. I've become totally addicted.
So
And
do you have a cold plunge in your house? Or you
no,
okay.
no, wouldn't that be cool? Especially we live in New Orleans in the winter, so it'd be great because it's hot here today. But no, there's places that have that. Definitely try it, and it scares people at first because the cold plunge is like, oh, it kind of hurts. You only do it for a minute or 30 seconds in the beginning, then you go to a minute. If you're really good at it, you can go to 3 minutes. But each time you do it, it gets easier. So,
Yeah.
highly recommend.
All right. So you mentioned that when you meet people all over the world, pretty much you all want the same things, right? We all want the same things for our families and for ourselves, which is so true. And I do believe we have connections to different countries or cultures that maybe we don't know about. I
Mm,
think there's probably some people listening that know where they want to go and they just don't know how to do it and make it easy. And it sounds like you're going to over 50, I mean, your company, 50 countries this year. Surely there's going to be a lot of people on those trips going, oh, this feels like home. I feel
mm.
right at home here. And I think that's a fabulous thing. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your company, where we can find you on the internet, any special trips you want to promote?
Thank you, Karen. Thank you so much. Yeah, we've been around for almost 16 and a half years. We are going, yeah, this is definitely our biggest offering ever, 50 different countries. We're going to China this year. I'm very excited about it. We're going to Madagascar to see the lemurs, as well as we're communing with some female empowerment organizations. So that'll be really cool. We are doing the Galapagos. We just finished a trip to the Galapagos, and we have another one coming up. They're both sold out, but we were doing them next year as well in 2027. And what's cool about that is that we have chartered a private boat. So the
Wow.
beautiful yacht and everything, is there for us, just us, which really makes it pretty VIP kind of trip and very special. It's every cabin has their own balcony. So that's
Wow.
really, really cool. We've
Wow.
added in some more Italy. We did a survey and one of those places that people want to go back and back to is Italy.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love Italy,
Right. Right.
And there's just so many places to go in Italy
Yeah.
beyond the obvious Tuscany, Rome. So we're going to the Dolomites, which is where the Winter Olympics
Oh,
are.
wow.
It's stunning. It's so beautiful. I was there this summer and I just fell in love with it. It's so different than the Alps in terms of the look of the mountains. And then we're going to Sicily. We brought that back from a couple of years ago. Sicily is amazing, great wine. We're also going to we're doing a trip to Emilia Romagna, so an area probably most people have not heard of. But if you've heard of the town Bologna, Parma, where they make the Parmesan cheese,
Yeah.
Modena, where they make the really expensive, fabulous balsamic, and Ravello, sorry, where it's really famous for the mosaics. So that whole area they call the bread basket of Italy. We actually end on the ocean, on the sea rather. So it's really a culinary discovery.
Oh,
So that's going to be fabulous
okay.
because Italy, who doesn't love it? But it's
Right.
really fun to see how they make Parmesan cheese, how they make the Parma ham, which is what we think of as prosciutto.
Okay.
It's just that's super fun. We're going to Montreal and Quebec, particularly with kind of the news, and I don't know when this is gonna air, but I'm hoping things are settled down, but some people prefer to stay closer home.
Yeah.
Montreal and Quebec is like going to France, but it's a much shorter flight.
Yeah.
Super charming, super safe, super beautiful. We're doing a retreat in Molokai, which is the least traveled to of the Hawaiian Islands.
Right.
We do a number of retreats each year. So we love to talk to people. The best thing to do is just to check out our website at girlsguidetotheworld.com. It's GIRLS guide to the world.com. From there, you can find our Instagram, our Pinterest, our Facebook. We have a private group that we have on Facebook called the Traveling Sisterhood, and you can join that. And we'd love to just sort of champion other women who are going places, even if they're not going with their company. We just want to encourage women to get out there and travel. And then if you're interested in a trip, shoot us an email at info@Girls Guide to the World, and we'd love to talk to you. We want to make sure the trip that you're interested is right for you. We want to mainly also want to make sure that you can walk without any assistance because that as you get older, that sometimes becomes a problem. We do
Yes.
have some trips for people that have a hard time walking, and those are safaris because you're in a vehicle
Yes.
almost all
Yeah.
the time. So there's always something that we can find that could suit you. We really are in the business of trying to make dreams come true, empower women, connect them, and just have a great time. Lots of laughing. That's the most important thing.
That is important. That's yeah, my one of my favorite things to do is to laugh.
Yes.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you for starting Girls Guide to the World and for your mission of empowering women. I think it's fantastic. And thank you so much for being here today. I could ask you a lot more questions that probably a lot of people aren't interested in. Thank you for being here, Donnie.
I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much, Karen.
Yeah, you're welcome. And to listeners and viewers, thank you. We will connect later.